What if the most powerful woman in fashion stepped back into the spotlight after years away, only to find the world she once ruled has completely changed? That's exactly the question the Devil Wears Prada 2 trailer seems to ask. With its very first frames, the trailer doesn't waste a second pulling us into a whirlwind of fashion, ambition, and nostalgia. The return of Miranda Priestly is teased like a storm approaching calm on the surface, but with lightning ready to strike. And right beside her shadow, we glimpse Andy Sachs, older, wiser, but clearly standing at the edge of choices she thought she had left behind. The trailer makes one thing clear: the past never really leaves you, especially when that past wears Prada. The trailer begins with quick flashes of New York City, the city that never sleeps, where the fashion world beats like a restless heart. We see glossy runways drenched in light, cameras clicking like thunder, and models striding forward with an intensity that feels both glamorous and intimidating. The sound design sets the tone: sharp, fast-paced beats mixed with the whisper of clicking heels, a reminder that this world is always about speed, precision, and perfection. Unlike the original film's lighter and satirical opening, this trailer's beginning feels more dramatic, almost cinematic in its tension, suggesting that the sequel is ready to go deeper into the darker side of fashion. As the shots unfold, we get glimpses of crowded offices, stacks of fashion magazines, and glowing computer screens displaying digital covers. This instantly tells us that the fashion world has evolved since 2006. Print media is no longer the empire it once was, and digital reigns supreme. But in true Prada fashion, the visuals remind us that no matter the platform, power and influence still belong to those who know how to control the narrative. The trailer almost feels like a passing of time. We're no longer looking at a glossy dream, but at a world that is harsher, more competitive, and far less forgiving. And then, almost like a ghost appearing in a familiar place, Miranda Priestly's presence is teased. We don't see her face immediately. Instead, we see details: a pair of heels stepping out of a sleek black car, a hand adjusting a perfectly tailored white coat, and the unmistakable sound of silence that follows wherever she walks. The camera never rushes her reveal, it lingers, letting anticipation build, as though the audience itself is waiting for permission to breathe. It's a brilliant move because the tension mirrors what everyone in that fictional world feels when Miranda enters a room. Even after all these years, she doesn't need words to control attention. Her presence is power. At the same time, the trailer contrasts this with Andy Sachs' world. We see her sitting in what appears to be a modern office, not the frantic chaos of Runway magazine, but something calmer, maybe even more grounded. There are hints of success awards on the wall, her name attached to a project, but there's also something in her eyes: hesitation. The editing is careful here, placing Andy's quieter life against Miranda's thunderous re-entry. It tells us that while Andy may have found her footing outside of Runway, the return of Miranda will shake her balance once again. The atmosphere created in these opening moments is layered with both glamour and dread. The fashion shows sparkle with high-definition detail, the offices buzz with activity, and yet there's a sense of pressure behind every shot. It's as if the trailer wants us to feel the weight of this world before diving into the story. In a way, this mirrors real-life fashion as beauty and brilliance. But behind the curtain, it's ruthless competition, endless reinvention, and the constant threat of being left behind. The trailer's use of color also deserves attention. Where the first film played with bright tones and sharp contrast, this sequel appears more muted, with cooler palettes of silver, gray, and icy blues. It creates an elegant but slightly colder feeling, reminding us that time has passed, and with it, innocence. This isn't the playful fashion playground we once saw, it's a battlefield. Every shot makes it clear: the stakes are higher, the pace is faster, and the people who survive here are those who never slow down. And at the heart of all this, the trailer whispers one truth to the audience: the world of Miranda Priestly may have changed, but her influence never faded. The opening sets up not just a return, but a reckoning, one where both old players and new challengers will fight for the throne. When the trailer finally gives us a proper look at Miranda Priestly, It doesn't treat it as just another character. Reveal it's a statement. The camera frames her in a way that almost feels royal, a slow pan upward from her polished heels, to the sweep of her coat, and then finally to that unmistakable face, framed by her silver hair, eyes sharper than ever. Even after all these years, Miranda hasn't softened. If anything, the trailer suggests she's more intimidating now because she's not only experienced but also uncheckable. She knows she has nothing left to prove. And that's what makes her return so powerful. She's no longer fighting for dominance. She already owns it, but the question the trailer plants is this: why is Miranda coming back now? The fashion world has changed drastically since she last reigned as Queen of Runway magazine. The shots show younger editors, influencers, and social media stars dominating the scene. The industry no longer waits for a monthly issue to dictate trends. It shifts every second on digital platforms. For most people, that change would mean the end of their influence. But Miranda's presence in this trailer suggests the opposite. She isn't being pushed out. She's walking back in. And the way the trailer presents her arriving at events, commanding attention at meetings, standing silently while others scramble, tells us that she's about to remind everyone why she was feared, respected, and envied in the first place. There's a brilliant contrast in how the trailer shows Miranda interacting with the new generation of fashion players. We see quick shots of young designers, bold and ambitious, eager to shake up the industry. But then we see Miranda, calm and collected, looking at them as if she already knows their weaknesses. One line short, cutting, and delivered with that signature icy calm seems to silence a room full of rising stars. It's a reminder that while fashion evolves, true authority never goes out of style. What makes this section of the trailer so compelling is that Miranda isn't just returning as the editor-in-chief of a magazine. The visuals suggest she's expanded her empire. There are glimpses of her stepping into boardrooms, consulting with tech-driven companies, even making appearances at international shows outside of New York. It feels as though her role has grown beyond runway. She isn't just a gatekeeper of fashion anymore. She's become an icon of global influence, someone whose presence can shift entire industries. This growth raises the stakes of the sequel. Miranda isn't just a boss. She's a force of nature that Andy and perhaps the entire fashion world will have to reckon with. And yet, the trailer doesn't present her return as flawless. In between the images of power, there are moments of subtle tension. We catch glimpses of rival figures, watching her closely, some even daring to challenge her. One scene shows a younger editor rolling her eyes after Miranda leaves a meeting. Another quick shot shows a competing fashion house celebrating a bold new campaign. The message is clear: Miranda's throne may still be hers, but the kingdom is no longer the same. There are new enemies waiting to topple her, and her return may not be as smooth as she imagines. Still, the most striking part of Miranda's reintroduction is the way the trailer frames her silence. In one shot, she simply sits in the front row of a fashion show. The crowd buzzes around her, cameras flash endlessly, designers fawn nervously, and yet Miranda doesn't speak a word. She doesn't have to. Her presence alone is louder than applause. The audience knows this character too well. They know that when Miranda finally opens her mouth, it will be with words sharp enough to cut through steel. That anticipation is what makes her scene so magnetic. There's also an emotional layer to her return. While the trailer mostly shows Miranda as untouchable, there are a few brief, almost hidden moments that suggest vulnerability. A quick shot of her standing alone in a dimly lit office, a pause before she signs a document, a lingering glance at an old runway. Cover these flashes hint at something deeper. Could this sequel be exploring not just her power, but also the cost of maintaining it for so long? After all, Miranda's brilliance came with sacrifices, and the trailer subtly teases that her story may finally reveal some of those scars. In many ways, Miranda's return in the trailer sets the tone for the entire film. She's not a villain, but she's not a hero either. She's a symbol of ambition, discipline, and authority, qualities that can inspire or destroy depending on who they touch. The trailer makes it clear that Miranda's re-entry into the fashion world will not only shake the industry but also force Andy and others to confront who they've become since they last stood in her orbit. So, as Section 2 closes, one thing is undeniable. Miranda Priestly is not just back, she's about to redefine what power looks like, in a world that thought it had moved on without her. And if the trailer is any indication, everyone in her path, from young designers to old rivals, is about to learn the hard way that the devil never really leaves Prada. The trailer doesn't just bring back Miranda's icy dominance, it also shines a spotlight on Andy Sachs. And this is where the emotional heart of the sequel begins to take shape. From the very first glimpse of her, it's clear that Andy is no longer the wide-eyed assistant stumbling in heels and struggling to keep up. Time has passed, and she carries herself with the quiet strength of someone who's faced the industry's harshness and survived it. But beneath that strength, the trailer hints at something deeper. Andy isn't just older, she's conflicted. We see her first in a modern office, space sleek, minimalistic, and nothing like the bustling chaos of runway. Her desk is clean, awards and framed covers line the walls, and colleagues treat her with respect. This tells us she's carved out her own path, possibly as a writer, editor, or creative director in her own right. On the surface, she seems successful, but the trailer is clever. It doesn't linger on her triumphs. Instead, it shows us those tiny cracks beneath the polished exterior. There's a moment where Andy stares out of a window, lost in thought. Another where she clutches her phone but hesitates before answering a call. And most telling of all, a fleeting expression of doubt crosses her face when Miranda's return is mentioned in a news broadcast playing in the background. These small details say more than words. Andy may have moved on, but the ghost of her past still lingers. What makes her journey so compelling in this trailer is how it contrasts with Miranda's. Miranda thrives on power and control, but Andy has always been defined by her search for authenticity. She walked away from runway not because she couldn't handle the pressure, but because she didn't want to lose herself in the process. Now, the trailer suggests that her world is about to collide with Miranda's again, and the big question is whether Andy can face that collision without losing the balance she's built. The trailer teases a reunion scene, and it's framed like a collision of worlds. Andy walks into a room, perhaps a conference or gala, and suddenly, there's Miranda standing with the same untouchable aura. The trailer doesn't give us the full dialogue, but the editing makes it clear that this moment is loaded with history. The quick cuts between their faces show Andy's hesitation and Miranda's cool detachment. It's not just a meeting of former boss and assistant, it's a confrontation between the person Andy was and the person she's become, and here's where the emotional stakes rise. The trailer hints at Andy being pulled back into the orbit of high fashion. We see flashes of her attending runway shows, engaging with designers, even standing on stage at what looks like a major industry event. But the question is, why? Is she chasing a story? Has she been drawn back in by personal ambition? Or is there something deeper at play, perhaps a cause, a scandal, or even an attempt to challenge Miranda herself? The trailer doesn't spell it out, but the imagery makes it clear. Andy is once again walking the tightrope between integrity and ambition. We also catch glimpses of Andy's personal life, which adds even more depth to her journey. There's a brief shot of her with a partner, possibly a spouse, exchanging a smile that looks warm but fleeting. Another shot shows her looking at a family photo tucked into her bag, suggesting she now has responsibilities beyond just her career. These moments matter because they remind us of the stakes outside of fashion. For Andy, the choices she makes won't just affect her job, they'll ripple into her entire life. And that makes her inevitable clash with Miranda more than professional. It's personal, moral, and deeply human. What's most striking is how the trailer visually contrasts Andy's world with Miranda's. Andy's scenes are often bathed in natural light, warm tones, open spaces, softer edges. Miranda's, on the other hand, are cold, sharp, and meticulously composed. This creates a visual metaphor. Andy represents growth, change, and vulnerability, while Miranda embodies control, legacy, and permanence. When these two collide, it's not just a clash of characters, it's a clash of values, of worldviews, of two very different ways of surviving in the same unforgiving industry. The emotional heartbeat of the trailer comes in one haunting shot. Andy, standing backstage at a runway show, staring at the lights as if caught between stepping forward or walking away. The roar of the crowd is muted, her breathing is heavy, and for a moment the camera lingers on her face. She looks older, wiser, but still searching for an answer. The audience is left to wonder, will she embrace the world she once rejected, or will she finally put it behind her for good? In the end, Section 3 of the trailer breakdown shows us that Andy's journey isn't just about career moves, it's about identity. Who is she now? What does she stand for? And how much of her past is she willing to relive to protect her future? The trailer sets up her emotional stakes with precision, and by the time it ends, we understand that Andy isn't just returning to the world of Miranda Priestly, she's returning to herself, and that's a battle far more difficult than any. Fashion headline, asterisk if Miranda and Andy form the spine of the Devil Wears Prada 2, then the supporting cast and rivalries are the heartbeat that keeps the story alive. The trailer is careful not to give everything away, but it sprinkles just enough detail to spark speculation about who's returning, who's stepping into the spotlight, and who might be clashing in this high-stakes world of couture and control. 1. Of the most exciting glimpses is the return of Emily Charlton, played by Emily Blunt. Fans of the original will remember Emily's razor-sharp wit and cutthroat ambition. The trailer teases her entrance in a way that's both stylish and humorous. A quick shot of her barking orders backstage at a runway show, clipboard in hand, heels clicking against the floor, while a panicked assistant struggles to keep up. It's a reminder that Emily is still the same fiercely competitive character we knew, but with years of experience under her belt, she seems sharper, stronger, and maybe even more dangerous. Where Andy walked away, Emily stayed. And the trailer suggests that her loyalty to the fashion world has earned her a powerful position. But this raises an intriguing question. Will Emily side with Miranda again, or will she carve out her own empire in direct competition? The trailer also hints at a new generation of characters ready to shake up the story. We see flashes of fresh-faced designers and influencers, dripping with confidence and daring to challenge the old guard. One bold character, possibly a rising designer, is shown unveiling a collection that seems to shock the crowd with its rebellious edge. Their presence feels like a symbol of how fashion has evolved, louder, faster, unapologetically bold. This creates a fascinating tension, because while Miranda and Emily represent tradition and control, these newcomers embody disruption. And in a world where trends can be born and destroyed on social media in a matter of hours, the rivalry between old power and new voices is bound to become a central theme of the sequel. But the trailer doesn't stop at career rivalries, it teases personal conflicts too. There's a tense moment where Andy and Emily lock eyes across a crowded room, and the camera lingers just long enough to suggest unresolved tension between them. In the first film, Emily resented Andy for being the favored assistant, even if Andy didn't want the role. Now, with both women standing as equals in the industry, their rivalry could explode in fascinating ways. Will old grudges resurface? Or will necessity force them into an uneasy alliance against an even bigger threat? The trailer doesn't answer, but it plants the seeds for one of the most anticipated dynamics in the film. Another layer comes in. The form of the wider fashion ecosystem shown in the trailer. We see snippets of rival magazines, rival houses, and rival editors' faces new to the franchise but clearly positioned as obstacles to Miranda's empire. One sleek young editor, seen sipping champagne while watching a runway show, seems to represent the new face of power in the digital era. The trailer cuts to Miranda watching them with that iconic, unreadable expression, and the tension is palpable. It's not hard to imagine a storyline where Miranda must defend her legacy against those eager to bury it. And of course, no Devil Wears Prada sequel would be complete without the fashion itself becoming a character. The trailer is a feast of couture, bold, daring, and visually stunning. From shimmering gowns on the runway to sharp power suits in the boardroom, every look feels carefully chosen to underline character rivalries. Emily's wardrobe, for example, is sleek and aggressive, lots of sharp shoulders and high collars. signaling authority. Andy's style is professional yet understated, reflecting her struggle between blending in and standing out. Miranda, of course, wears pieces that scream elegance and timelessness, making her look like the eternal monarch of fashion. Even the newcomer's clothes tell a story: loud colors, exaggerated silhouettes, and experimental textures that clash against Miranda's refined world. The costumes alone suggest a battle between tradition and reinvention, stability and chaos. What makes this section of the trailer so intriguing is how it balances nostalgia with evolution. Familiar faces like Miranda and Emily ground us in the world we know, while the introduction of bold new players pushes the story into fresh territory. The rivalries aren't just personal, they're generational, cultural, and even technological. Who sets the rules in fashion now? Is it the editors, the designers, or the millions of voices on social media? The trailer seems ready to explore that question,